David Stasny is a candidate for Bryan School Board District 5, joins us today. Thanks for being with us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
You've been at this a while.
Yes, that to say the least.
Tell the folks a little bit about your background.
Well, I started back in 1990, as you know, and I was an uncontested, or it was an open race at that time, and I was successful. And I've stayed with it. People often ask me, are you crazy? Because this is a job that doesn't pay anything, but you can certainly get a lot of criticism when things don't go well for a certain child or a certain situation, or even a teacher or whatever. So it's just something that I've continued to do because I can't think of anything better or more important to me in terms of public service. I actually like the fact that it's nonpartisan. It's unfortunately getting a little more partisan, even though it's not supposed to be. We are a very divided country. That's no secret. And I've decided a long time ago that public schools are probably, and not just probably, but I'm almost certain, the best vehicle for bringing everybody together. And it's a shame that there's so much, I would say, very undue criticism of public schools in general, and certainly Bryan schools. I know better than most people how really good they are to try to meet the needs of every child. So when something is that important to me, I'm willing to keep trying to do my best and to keep using all my accumulated knowledge and experience to try to keep moving us in the right direction towards hopefully someday where everybody's going to say, I just really want to live in Bryan because they're the best schools in the state.
You know, one of the big things that Austin has done, and certainly they watch the school systems very closely because constitutionally they need to be doing that. But talk to me as one member of this board, and if you are reelected, how the voucher system can be best handled by Bryan.
Well, there's not much we can do other than to be the best we can be. That was, I suppose, the justification for the voucher system is that that's going to be competition and that's going to make us better. I would almost, I'm not quite maybe, but almost reach the level of welcoming the voucher system if they had to play by all the same rules and they had the same accountability. They weren't able to cherry pick students. They weren't able to kick kids out because they said a bad word. That they would still be obligated to continue to educate that child and not be able to say, well, look at us. We've got this great atmosphere here that is, we don't have any fights because the kid that started the fight, we kicked him out. I mean, I don't know if they would say that, but you know where I'm going with that. So we have to make sure that we're the best we can be. We can't change the rules that the state gives us. We must educate all children, and we will do our best to do that. Very proud of our superintendent, Ms. Carabine. She has never once, I've heard her say, make an excuse that, well, we would do better if we didn't have these kids or whatever. She loves them all, and I support her 100% on the idea that we're going to keep trying to educate all kids, including the best and brightest. Like some of my kids were, brag, but anyway, I had outstanding, our kids were outstanding students, national merit finalists, just great. Not all of them, but two of them were national merit finalists. Pretty good, 2 out of 4. And so, yes, I'm bragging, but I'm saying that only because back then and now, Bryan schools can meet the needs of every child, and that's an incredible challenge and an incredible accomplishment.
And speaking of every child, that includes the students who are unwilling or disinterested, or the parents who are unwilling or disinterested to support their children. What's the best way for BISD to address that?
That is a huge challenge. We just got a presentation at last night's board meeting about how they're at one elementary. They make the call if the child doesn't show up. There's a lot of, unfortunately, kids that are chronic absentee, and they, of course, how are they going to learn if they're not even in school? Oftentimes it has nothing to do with illness. It just has to do with the family circumstances. They make the phone call. They said if they can't get anybody on the phone call, they try text, they try, and then if none of that succeeds, they make a trip to the house. And you can imagine how labor intensive that is when you have to go to the house to try to knock on the door and say, please, your child needs to be in school. We're not going to be able to educate your child if you don't make sure he or she's in school. So that's probably the biggest thing. we continue, of course, to try to make school, especially for the older kids, meaningful. And we have a really, really good career tech center and program overall. We've won a lot of awards, and that, of course, is what a lot of kids are looking for. They're not interested in learning advanced math or any of the things that you would need in college. They're interested in getting some training for a job. And of course, math is still important, but not necessarily advanced math. And so I would encourage anybody, if they haven't been out to the Career Tech Center out on Mumford Road, to do so. It's pretty neat. It's really, really something we're very proud of. And it's not just there, it's also at the two major high schools. We have a lot of career tech there. And you know about other things that we have. Bryan Collegiate is another great program, considered one of the best high schools in the state. And that's a great place for a lot of times mostly first-generation college goers who can get all sorts of college credit in conjunction with, we work in conjunction with Blinn and Texas A&M. And so that's another example of how you are able to get kids interested. And of course, it goes right along with sports. Almost everybody's got sports and fine arts, but we have a lot more than just that. I'll give you one more example, and that's the Los Vikingos. Well, all of the mariachi bands we have, we're actually more than just them now. That's how it started. And they have provided another good reason for some of our kids to go to school.
An important part of this equation is making sure that teachers are heard by the administration. I'd like to hear your thoughts about that and how that can be improved.
Well, I'm going to give credit to our superintendent. She is very much interested in building relationships. I don't know that we can ever always make everybody happy, including her. But the thing is that she wants to hear from the teachers. And there was some stuff in the news recently about how teachers didn't have enough, they had to buy their own supplies, or they were asking for money to buy supplies. And she was beside herself saying, why didn't somebody say something to me? Because I know there's plenty of money there. It could run out, but they even had a few instances where somebody just wasn't at that particular school, paying attention, I guess, and they ended up with money left over for things like that at the end of the school year, and of course, that's a negative reflection on whoever was in charge of that. But the bottom line is that we need to hear from them, and I've told anybody that listens that if a teacher or any employee feels like they're not being listened to, I want to hear from them. That's certainly not. I'm not the only board member, and nobody else is the only board member that is willing to listen. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to personally normally say, okay, I'm solving your problem all by myself, because I'm one board member. We act as a board. But I'm going to refer people, and I'm going to say, if this doesn't work, you let me know. And I've never had a situation where a problem that was solvable came back to me because they said, well, I got ignored by the administration or by the superintendent. So it's all about communication, and we're trying to build that. We had some negative stuff in the past with former superintendents, and the communication kind of collapsed for a while, but it's greatly improved, and we're going to keep working on that to make it even better.
You talk about a wide spectrum from CTE all the way through to Bryan Collegiate. But there could always be curriculum that could be added for those parents who are interested in having an active part in the curriculum and what it should look like at BISD. What's available to them in your view, or what should be?
Oh, well, you're talking about just trying to add things, possibly?
Correct. Right.
Well, we always want to hear what people want to do. Now, an unfortunate fact of life is it has to be, we have to look at the dollars. And if we have 3 students that want to take a course, or let's just use that as an example, then that may not be something we can do just because it's cost prohibitive. But we're certainly always open to ideas. Again, someone might contradict that and say, no, you didn't listen to me. But we're going to always want to know, well, what is it that your child wants? We have an IB program that is pretty expensive, and it's not a huge number of kids in it, but it's just maybe not what you were actually asking about, but it's something that once again, we were trying to meet the needs of high achieving students, and we're the only one in the area, the IB program, International Baccalaureate, and we're very proud of that. Same way with, again, Bryant Collegiate. But as far as a parent wanting perhaps to say, look, I want something new and different that y'all don't have, please, all I can say is probably should start with some of our administrators, but if you don't get anywhere, one more time, contact your favorite board member, and we should be able to make sure that conversation is held, and we go from there, because we're going to look at every suggestion and see if it's something that we think we can accomplish, because that's our goal. We want to keep all the kids and families in our district that we can, and we really that's kind of one of our goals. We want to be a destination. We don't want to be, in other words, we want to be a place where everybody wants to live and send their kids to school, and we can't do that if we're not offering enough choices.
Explain to me a little bit about the process when you do review with your superintendent. You've been through that for many years. How has that process changed, and what does it look like now?
The way we
Annual review.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say that it's changed a whole lot. It's a very challenging job that we have, because we have to go beyond, obviously, just what the superintendent is providing us. We want to make sure that we get the background. And believe it or not, for years in the past, again, I've been on the board a long time, as you know, we had a lot of resistance to surveys. The surveys, I remember one superintendent who really was a nice person, but said that the only people going to respond are the naysayers, and so it's just going to make her, look us as a district look bad, make me look bad. I said, well, I don't think that's true. Anyway, kept saying, let's do this. Of course, I didn't have any authority by myself to make it happen, but we did make it happen, and that has helped a lot, because we get a real clear picture of the climate at the schools, and what teachers are unhappy about. One of those things that routinely they're not terribly happy about is pay, and we've at least for some teachers, the legislature made some major strides in improving that. Unfortunately, for new teachers and administrators and bus drivers and custodians, we got practically nothing, and that's very frustrating. So I have to, again, I'm frustrated that they didn't give us a little more money to be at least a little more flexible with. But again, back to your point, we want to get input from not only the employees, but the survey goes out to parents as well. And even the students, we do get survey information from even community members. So we're doing the best we can to get that information. And then, of course, there's always the test scores, which are not very accurate, I would say, in terms of really judging the effort of all and the expertise of all of our staff, because it is totally, not totally, but to a large extent fails to take into account intangibles of those children that simply are not coming to school, or are not just choosing not to study, choosing not to do homework, and the parents are not really doing much about that. So all of that is factored in. So naturally, we're not going to necessarily jump on our superintendent if someone is not doing well, and the reality is that they have so many challenges in their particular situation that it's very difficult. It's very difficult to get those things done at a level where you could easily accomplish that you could easily accomplish in another environment, such as they'll just say a private school, or in a high socioeconomic setting where most of the parents and students come from a high socioeconomic background. It's just a different game, and it's really hard work. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Public schools, in my opinion, especially Brian, we're doing God's work. We really are. probably more so than any other school, the public schools are doing God's work. I know a lot of people might think that's not the case, but I'm there and I've seen it, and I truly believe that.
Anything we haven't covered today?
Oh, you didn't ask me about the bond, but I guess.
Well, I'll be glad to say that there are three segments to the bond. I presume if you felt like you could have safely asked for more, you would have asked for more?
Well, I think the needs originally, and keep in mind, this was a community effort. This was not even, I would say, yes, to some degree initiated by the board, but then we bring in all the community people, and that's where we went. We went with it as a community project to get information from all parts of the community, not just business people, not just parents, but former employees, I think saying current employees, but we tried to get as much information as we could. And yes, there was like 800 million, I think, that was said. This is all things we could really use or need. And I think it was quickly decided, not just by the board, but that's probably not going to be very acceptable. So it was pared down to a little less than half that. And so yes, we probably could have used more, but not. But at the level that it is, we're pretty confident that we can get a lot of great things done and make us a much better district in terms of facilities. We want. I think the consensus is we don't want a district that is just getting by and with Band-Aids and, okay, let's try to get a little more out of this roof. Is at some point, do we replace the building, much like Bryan Collegiate, for instance? It's going to take a whole lot of money if we were going to just try to renovate it. It's been Band-Aided a lot. I went to school there in the 9th grade. And it wasn't Bryan Collegiate, but it was. I went there in the 9th grade. It's a very old building, and it's got a lot of issues, foundation-wise, things that are very hard to correct. So at first it was like, let's fix it, and then it was like, no, this is an outstanding program. It's just something we're very proud of. Let's do it right. So that's an example where we decided to go further. As opposed to the cost of trying to renovate it. It's going to obviously be more to replace it, but that is something the committee wanted and the board is supporting. So that's an example. Athletics, there's 3 separate issues, and athletics are separate. It's a little confusing because some of the stuff like turf at some of the schools is considered non-athletic because it's not really primarily for PE or for things that the
not
students,
UIL competition.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was required, and that's something that we know was probably the result of some districts kind of getting a little carried away with trying to combine very, very, very expensive stadiums with everything else, and the hopes that they would all pass together. So we accept that, and that's fine. So, but I'm very excited about the bond. I hope it passes. Our job will then be, as I've told a lot of people, our job is then to take the authorization and still do the best we can with it. I have worked for years to gain the trust of the community. I don't think I've ever done anything to lose that, and I've worked on that every year of my career as a board member, and part of that trust means that we're not going to just say, okay, here's what was authorized, let's see what we can get for it. It's going to be more like, here's what was authorized, now let's get what we need, what is going to be good, what's going to be durable, and we're going to make sure that everybody's proud of it. And if we can save some money, great. If we don't have to spend it all, great. That's something that we hope that we get good architects and folks that in the construction phase are going to, and with a person you may have heard of, Bobby Griffin, who's now on our staff. He came out of retirement to help us. He's one of those guys that's going to watch and make sure we're getting value. We're going to try to make sure that when the dollar is spent, it's going for where we need it to go and where that committee wanted it to go.
David Stasny, candidate for Bryan School Board District 5. Thanks for the time today.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.